Hey, what's up everyone? TonyScapone here with the Epic Storm, and tonight we're going to be playing the Epic Gamble. Of course, a deck that is near and dear to my heart, my first original creation, so we're going to have a blast, but just give me a few minutes to get the word out on Discord. I'll be right back. Alright, we are back. We are in it. I apologize for the late start. I got stuck at work, but that's okay because we're going to be going real fast on stream. I'll say that. This is the second fastest competitive deck in the format. And when I say fastest, I mean like actually killing you, right? You could put Reanimator in the conversation, but they don't necessarily kill the opponent. They just kind of put some monsters into play and pass the turn. Fastest deck being Oops All Spells, but the Epic Gamble is right after that. We are killing people immediately, all right? Very quickly, super explosive, also very resilient. Of course, we do have defense grids. Galvanic Relay is very difficult to interact with, and as the game goes on, it really doesn't take too much to all of a sudden just pop off with another draw 7. We have various other engines with the backside of Birgi, that being Horn, the One Ring. There's just a lot going on with this deck. People ask me all the time, Tony, is the deck dead? Why aren't you playing it? Listen, my favorite thing to do is create, and this deck is solved. Maybe they print something at some point that shake things up, or something happens in the format, you know, whatever it is, but there's really just nothing to be done with the deck in terms of creation. However, its power level, consistency, and overall performance is still very good every time I play it. So I'm going to show you that tonight. It is super powerful still, and I'll show you just how busted it can be. Of course, I do want to thank our sponsors, both Mox, Field, and Card Hoarder. And I do want to mention that I do have my own YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon, so go check all that out. It did also just start a podcast a few months in, where we just recorded episode 4 about a week ago, so check that out. It's on Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. So check all that out. And you'll probably notice my ridiculous shirt. This is the Bosch and Roll shirt, right? Bosch and Roll, Brian Koval, is part of the Eternal Glory podcast, which of course hosted by none other than Bryant Cook, as well as Thraben Yu and Bosch and Roll. So check that out as well. Well, let's get into it. Let's jam some Epic Gamble, man. We're going to be going blazing fast and just spinning that wheel time and time and again and killing people with either the grapes or the tendies. That's how we love to do it. See you in the first round. What the heck, man? I'm sorry. I just tested this.
Looking Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game.
All right. Yeah, this deck really is a treat. We used to play a full set of Empty the Warrens out of the sideboard, and it used to make tempo a landslide. That has gotten slightly worse because we do not have access to that anymore. You could play it, but really I think Bowmasters makes it a lot worse. They just have too easy a way to trim down and stop shorter Empty the Warrens lines, which typically and before that were oftentimes just like you'd empty for 6 and get there, you know. But we are still very good against tempo, I will say. Okay, we have a very aggressive start here. There's a couple things we could do. And I think I'll take the more aggressive line. We could go for it. Actually, I guess there's 3 things we could do, right? 1, we can pass. Then next turn we can slam a ring. If it doesn't work, we can LED Echo. That is the safe thing to do. 2, we could attempt to get another Lion's Eye Diamond with this Rite of Flame gamble to maximize mana, right? That is the most aggressive line. Or 3, we could gamble for another Echo, so that in the event that it fails, our opponent has a Force of Will and stuffs us, we still have an Echo in our yard, and all we have to do is come up with 2 more mana. And in the blind, right off the rip, when it's this powerful, I'm just gonna go for the big one. Is this format is full of all sorts of powerful stuff. You could go, oh, I'm going to wait, the next turn I'll cast the One Ring. You're not playing to the deck's strengths at that point, and you're just walking into things like Chalice, things like your opponent killing you, discard, so on and so forth. And they are F6'd, which is usually a good sign. Let's see if we can get an LED, or if the Epic Storm Entomb Curse is still alive, and it is not. Off we go. We are going for it. I'm going to give myself more red. Okay. This is lethal, I believe. We can go Birgi, LED, Rite of Flame, Burning Wish, Tendrils. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 exactly. Is there some way we can give like double lethal? I don't think so. There is certainly a non-zero chance that they would counter Birgi. I guess in that case, I want to leave a red up, because then we can always still Rite of Flame, Burning Wish. We would have a humongous relay. One of the downsides of this deck is it is so often that you just kill your opponent on turn 1 in game 1 that you don't know what they're playing. I suppose if we wanted to, we could have cast the Shatterskull Smashing too. Technically, they could counter one of these to not die, but they're never not countering Burning Wish in that case, right? So, safe to say they're dead. Game 1, turn 1, dead. That's how we do it. Take advantage of that all access blinged out. No, this is how, I own all these actually. Although, honestly, I'm going to be selling out of them because they made the foils awful, if I'm being honest. They used to be, you know, they're okay. but now they're awful. Okay, so in the blind, I just like to bring in one Echoing Truth and take out one grid. You could assume because our opponent F6 that they don't have Force of Will in their deck at all. Reasonable assumption to make. You could take out all these defense grids, but I think that would be a mistake for two reasons. One, people often enough at least, with blue decks will still F6 if they just simply don't have Force in their hand. Now, we were in two instances where the same thing occurred, so more likely you could maybe take out two grids, but whatever. And second thing, even against a number of non-blue decks, grid is still good. You're stopping things like Mindbreak Trap, Force of Vigor. There are plenty of other matchups where I'm leaving the card in some capacity, usually between 2 and 3, occasionally 1. So I like to hedge my bets and just take one out, so that in the event that it is not good for us, we're not flooded with them, or much less likely to be flooded with them. So this hand obviously has a very good chance of echoing, but with just so little other things. So I'm going to throw it back for something a little more powerful, and here we're going to be moving down to 5. It is a regular thing that this deck will mulligan a lot. It is similar to Oops All Spells, where you are mulliganing a lot. Not always, but it really depends on the matchup too, right? We don't know the matchup right now, but I would say both those hands were just not good enough to keep. So this is a relay, a somewhat short relay. It's also a potential echo. Like if we go City, Imprint, cast Rite of Flame, cast Burning Wish, get Gamble out of the sideboard, cast Gamble, we then have we're going to be drawing a card, so 50-50 that we can lend ourselves to. No, we don't have the cards for that because we have to put 2 down. We'd have to bottom like a Rite of Flame and hope to draw either fast mana or at least a colored card from my Chromox to imprint, a red card, that is. However, I think it would be probably more advisable to just hold on to Relay. It's not great. Plan to imprint here. I'm gonna... Huh, this is a tough call. In all likelihood, I'm just gonna be going Chromox, imprint, Relay for 2. Actually, in all likelihood, they're gonna be doing something that's really gonna disrupt us. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for a Relay. Going to 4 would be totally reasonable there. It's one of the benefits of this deck, right? That you can, if you need to, and in fact, once you know the matchup, oftentimes it is correct to mulligan to Echo, right? If you're at 5 cards and it's not great, not only is your hand not great, but you also just have a lower density of cards. So you're going to have fewer outs to get you back into the game. And this deck has Lion's Eye Diamond and Echo of Aeon. So now you have a multi of 4, 3, and 2 to find some combination of cards that allows you to resolve Echo, which the deck is chock full of. That was not a great draw. I almost want to just play Smashing Pass. Could be 8 cast, could be Jewel, could be PO, could be Black Saga Storm. I guess I'm gonna Relay. We don't want to see any lands. You want to see like grid, LED, gamble? Huh? Any grids, LED, gamble? One ring's good. That's fine. I'll take it. Looks like Patchwork Stompy. I mean, there's nothing that signifies that over any of the decks that I had mentioned, but it is equally likely that it is. I think it's Storm, honestly. I think it's some sort of Saga Storm. I mean, they didn't discard us, but they just F6 both times in game 1. Okay, so it's looking like Jewel or PO. Oh, no. It's Karn. Okay. So we have exactly 2 non-artifact blue sources. And that's one of them. Not that it really does that much good for us, but it is funny. Because they just recast it. And it's not like it's in her hand and we can just hold it. No, I have not moved into Karn in my build. There's really not much we can do here. Yeah. Well, it's most likely just Mystic Forge. So I'm gonna trim more grid. Echoing Truth, Void Snare. They do play Mindbreak Trap in some capacity, usually. But I'm still gonna go down on grids. This is a pretty good hand. We could play these artifacts out and then gamble for an LED. In worst case, we just echo. Does open us up to like surgical or something. Like if the gamble hits our echo and then they surgical the echo, but then at least we can relay. However, I don't love relaying into this deck. Unless it's on turn 1, which it would be. They are F6. I think I'm just gonna go for the most powerful echo that I can. And we can just make a bajillion goblins, which probably gets there. Okay, we hit the Burning Wish. Oops. Let's go. I'm gonna crack both of these. Rather have the mana. Off we go. Okay, so we can just horn. And then we have 12 cards. Up to 12 cards. Or we have, if we have Birgi into lethal with backup Echo, that's what I'm going to do. So we'd spend 3, we'd have 2 left, right? I think Echo can actually net us mana. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We wish down to 5, they counter it. We Echoing Truth to 4 on our petals. Then we replay both of them and wind up at 8 mana, and we can Echo. With Echo backup, we have Birgi into, unless they counter Birgi, that changes things, but we basically have Birgi into lethal into front and backside Echo. Pretty decent. Can just wish for Tendrils, no question mark. Well, I'm gonna, you know, talk through what we can do. Okie dokie. So, if they had Mindbreak Trap and they trapped Tendrils, how can we set ourselves up to combat that? Let's Romox. No imprint. Into Echoing Truth, Lotus Petal. Going to replay. I guess this still wouldn't. Because then we're not going to have blue mana. They have been F6 this whole time. There we go. On turn 1. 2 turns, 1 game, 1 win. We're 1-0. See you in round 2.
Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks.
Oh, muted, sorry. Alright, we are 1-0, playing against Ryan39 round 2. We have won the die roll. Can we do it again? Ooh, sorry, that's probably loud. Probably is the answer. We can take a really solid relay. It's not a perfect hand. Perfect would be relay into Echo, but we can't do both. Romox can be limiting. Two, three. Problem is I do have to commit the Chromox if I want to cast the Monolith. I'm going in deep. It looks like I'm about to get rewarded. Oh, yeah. Off we go. Okay. If we Birgi and they counter it, do we have enough mana to echo? We'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'd be 1 shy. If we horn and they counter it, we can untap and echo. I like Birgi into frontside echo. They have a counter. They got to counter this. You can't let a Birgi drop. 6 cards in hand. Get out of town. Get out of town. Why do you assume the opponent's gender is male? Please don't do that. We don't need to assume gender here. Alrighty then. We are smashing the opponent. All we need is 1 turn. That's it. Ooh, it is in there. This has been a rather graphic display of violence. I hope this answers your question as to whether or not the deck is dead. So Storm is 12. I think I want to imprint this echo. We always have the backup echo here. Can't necessarily get lethal unless we get an LED. If we gamble for LED and it hits Chrome Mox, oh, I guess that's fine. I don't need to imprint. Okay. If it hits Burning Wish, then we have double echo. If it hits itself, well, then we just wasted a gamble. It's whatever. No big deal. You could also go for grid here, but I don't think that's advisable because we don't actually have lethal. Grid is best served up with the side of lethal. We hit Chromox. That is fine by me. We will not have access to double echo post Burning Wish because we have to crack it for black. Which I guess is fine. Lethal plus echo is decent. One of the ways in which you can have more success with this deck is when you're in these landslide situations, you need to be thinking of what you do actually lose to and if you can play around them for free. And even sometimes play around them with some level of risk is sometimes appropriate. So once again, we have played 3 games, we have won all 3, and we've only played 1 turn on each of those games. Back to back to back turn 1s feels good. Yet again, we don't know what they're playing. And so, this is how we do it. Blue decks only get played in the challenges leagues or the literal Wild West. There's still plenty of blue. I mean, There's more combo in Moto leagues than there are like major events, sure, but there's still blue decks are blue decks. People like them. Like playing a couple baubles for relay and have info on their deck. I mean, I have played or made various wishless versions that do play it. Baubles, that is. His hand is slow. However, Grim Monolith is strong. If they're on any sort of like fair blue, this is great. It doesn't feel like that. Excuse me. Oh, I'm gonna mulligan. Okay, I mean, it's aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. It's actually one of the better cards because we can threaten double echo. 1, 2, 3, 6. Yeah. I guess it's Chromox. Get a little punished if I draw a land. It's gonna be real tough if they're playing Chalice. That is the risk you take when you're in the blind after turn oneing someone. Now, if they think they have a turn, this is one of the ways in which you just steal a whole darn tournament, is people think they have a turn. They do. They think, oh, I got turn, even when you turn one them, oh, I got turn one, it's like, that's not going to happen every game. That's what the deck does. That's what it does. Basically, Belcher. They chose the not shuffle. They are griefing us. Pitching Hogak. Wow. This is probably Dredge. Blue Dredge. So now they get to take our LED, which is a problem. Now we have 3 LEDs, 3 gambles, 4 burn. Am I getting surgical? Cross that pause. Yeah. Alright. So they have 3 cards. Now, this is a scenario where you gotta figure out if it's worth holding cards for relay or dodging more discard. I think it's Blue Dredge, in which case they're not going to be casting Reanimate, and in order to cast another well, they have Cabal Therapy. Ugh. That's a bummer. I'm going to play him out. To Ponder. So this is... I don't think I've ever seen Blue Dredge play Ponder. Is this... Unless it's just some iteration of like Bug Hogak. They don't know about this pedal, so now it's like, if they have a Cabal Therapy, they're not gonna name pedal, I'll say that. I'm gonna play a monkey. Let me get on board. Blue-black Reanimator. But it's a Hogak. Blue-black Reanimator does not play Hogak. I mean, we're on board with our double monkeys. Say Bowmasters. It is. It is one of the problems with this card. It's similar to Deathrite Shaman in that it just fits into so many different decks that it becomes homogenizing. Rainstorm coming in hot. Watery Grave. Okay. Play one of these. This is one of the beautiful parts about this card. I don't have to use my Lion's Eye Diamond. Just put it on the stack. I think this will be a Mind's Desire if it goes through. Oh, they got a Forest Pitching Daze. Okay. I didn't want to just get whacked by Spell Pierce. Well, match 1, game 1, we turn 1. Match 1, game 2, we turn 1. Match 2, this match. Game 1, we turn 1. This is the first game that we've played anything past turn 1. So it's going pretty well. They hydroblasted my monkey. A little late, defense grid. Little bit late. I mean, again, they have Hogak, though. It's not blue-black scam. I mean, I think it's just like an iteration of I don't know. They're just playing a Hogak. Is Dimir scam with a Hogak? Need to save cards. Need to save cards for either Relay, Mind's Desire, or Horn. Relay is no longer on the table. That's a Horn. Does get stuffed by Daze. I don't I don't think I can afford to play around days here. I need a high roll. Let's have force. Okie dokie. And a daze, okay. We would have hit. It would have been interesting. Because we would have been looking at this gamble with a card in our hand and potentially gambling into something. Interesting. So it's basically blue-black scam. We can put the grid back in, take out Echoing Truth. And that's it. Alright, now we are aware it is a blue deck. So play a little bit more of the long con. I'd be so much more interested in this if that were an ancient tomb. I'm gonna keep it, but it's not ideal. Especially with how frequently people have been countering this card. Oh, they just let it go. I think it's worth jamming here. We are still left with some resources if they counter it. Wow. Hydroblast would be a pain in the ass. But there's nothing really that we could hit off of 2 cards. You could do it because you figure you're going to get discarded and you want to hit a Lion's Eye Diamond and put it into play, but pretty weak. At least make them use it. Yeah, Hydroblast would be devastating here. Alright, no Hydroblast. We know they didn't have force. Now we're drawing 2 cards a turn. And they shuffled. So low chance of force. I think pretty high chance of daze. Oh, they had grief and surgical. So reasonable chance of daze, but I wouldn't necessarily even call it high anymore. Like grief and surgical are reasons enough that someone would keep. We would have hit LED if we had pitched that. Would have been a free LED. That's crazy. Could put it into play and pass, but then that gives them an opportunity to find Hydroblast. Having said that, no, I'm gonna look for something. Okay. I like grid. Alright, once again, Hydroblast would be devastating. However, we'd still be in reasonable shape. Alright, and we're not getting Bowmastered here either. That's a Stitcher supplier. Like, Bowmaster would have been annoying. Because in all likelihood, we're going to be trying to echo here. Battle, not the greatest. So 1 ring. Pretty good. I think I actually hold this. The next turn, if they don't kill our horn, we have access to 8 cards. Yeah. Because we draw, and then we draw from the One Ring, and then we flip them into 8 cards. Okay. We got them. So we are 2-0. See you in round 3.
With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/deck.
Oh no, we're playing against Tendrils? Okay, this has everything except for action. I don't usually keep these hands. However, it has both stable and explosive mana and protection. It has literally everything except for action. I'm actually going to keep. I don't feel great about it, but there are a lot of decks in the format where you have the time and need exactly what we have already. And then even in the event that it's a matchup where that's not necessarily the case, we could just draw action, which is like a third of our deck. What do they play? I don't know what they play. I do not look up opponents for league matches. I just don't do it. Okay, so we are likely dead. Probably getting Collect Roofed. I'm going to play a Volcanic Island because maybe they don't go for Collect Roof if they see Volcanic Island. Now, there's the Cradle. Just immediately. Now, if your name isn't TonyScapone, they probably don't make... They definitely don't make this play. And you're safe. And you draw Gamble, and you kill them. However, today our name is in fact TonyScapone. And we did in fact get Collect Roof, despite having played a Volcanic Island in passing. But that's how it be for me. Meh. Oh, also a natural order? Sure, fine. Fine. I get it. Wow. We had a land drop, echo. Okay. So we want these. Got a couple of those. From one of those. They do have a lot of cards that, like, they have a lot of Force of Vigor. Usually not much for Mind Break Trap. I guess I'll... 2 grids is enough. Do we have an out to game 1 oof? Absolutely. We have Shatterskull Smashing. We have Burning Wishes in our deck to get Grapeshot. We have Burning Wishes in our deck to get Void Snare. We already had our non-artifact blue/red source. Birgi, if we draw, makes it very easy to put together some of that. One's close. Really close. If I could turn one ring, I would. I can turn one Birgi, but then I don't really have much gas. I could play land pass, but then I'm playing a land that I actually kind of want to be able to kill an oof. They may be on ley lines. In which case the one ring is pretty good. I'm actually just gonna keep. They mull the 6. Gamble for Rite of Flame. It's such a risky line. That means you have to play your pedal, you have to play your land, you have to cast your Rite of Flame, and then you have to gamble, and it's a 50-50. No, thank you. If it hits itself, your line is mute. If it hits the one ring, your line is mute. I think I'm going to play a turn 1 Birgi, because this matchup becomes much easier with a Birgi in play. They don't have that many things that kill Birgi. They do tend to prioritize Thoughtseize though, so I am going to play it on turn 1. This represents a lot of non-artifact mana. Okay. Would like to get closer to Hellbent. Anyone else getting choppy audio? I hope not. Please let me know if anyone else is. If not, well, then it's probably you, Brian. Audio is choppy. Really? In what way? Like, is it cutting the end of my sentences? It might be that my noise gate is a little bit off. Just started recently. Audio is fine here. It looks like people are pretty split on just saying it's fine and saying there's an issue. Let me get closer to my mic. I think maybe it cuts out a little bit when I move my head. No, I mean, I see it picking it up perfectly. Oh my god, I have my... I'm sorry. I have my dehumidifier on. I forgot. I had flooding in my basement. So, which is where I stream. My apologies. Alright, that was a fantastic draw. And we have grid. That should be better. There's part of me that wishes we didn't have this one ring in hand. Would really like to draw an opal, petal, or LED. That's super close, but not quite. We will, however, in all likelihood, have an echo next turn. We gotta hope we don't just die to hoof, though. Or no, we can't. Alright. We can't get discarded. And Collector Roof may very well not be enough. Audio is better after refresh. Well, I also did turn my dehumidifier off. But if you're just saying like the specific issue was not necessarily background noise and it's better, then awesome. They cannot reclaim into bog, or rather they can, but certainly not with an echo in our graveyard. We will not be giving priority for our opponent to do that. You gamble, the echo goes into your graveyard, and then you have priority to then cast a spell. So, we are being met with worst case scenario. However, we certainly have the tools. Please give me a 0 drop. Please. Oh, baby. No guarantees here, but we most likely won in the face of a Collector Roof. There's the echo. Let's spin it, baby. See? If they had bog up, they would not have priority to use it. Show me the money. That'll do. That will most certainly do. We're gonna Burning Wish. Gonna get Grapeshot. Gonna be casting these anyways. Gonna be drawing cards off the One Ring afterwards. We're gonna have 3, 4, 3. I'm gonna want a horn, so I'm gonna be using the monolith. So I can afford to cast this one too. I have a grid up, so I don't have to worry about quick reflexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we get to kill their whole board. Could hit them. Really, it doesn't matter, but Because we're going to draw our whole deck right now. It is most fun to kill their whole board. Pew, pew, pew. Let's draw. Let's get horny. Activate. 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 And I will not be walking into something like Fairy Macabre, because drawing 7 with a horn in play and a Birgi and a grid is just GG's, all right? You don't need to get the value and pass priority to your opponent with Echo in your graveyard. You don't. I will not. Okay, on to game 3. I'm going to run it back. This is most definitely the tough one. I would really like to have an explosive opener that also echoes even in the face of a Thoughtseize. So multiple lines of diamonds plus echo is great. There are other combinations of cards that do similar things, but that is the sort of thing that we are looking for here. Or just a stable hand that can function even through a collector roof, kind of like the one that we kept last game. That is why I kept it, because though it wasn't fast, I figured it would be able to function even through a collector roof, and it did. It did, in fact, do that. This one, a little less so. We've got lands. None of them are red. We only have one red source. They've kept on 7. I am going to mulligan. Okay. A little awkward. I'm going to keep. In a bottom city. If they don't discard us and we draw either a fast mana, that being Spirit Guide, Petal, Opal, or any red card, we have a turn 1 Pier, which is a win, in case you were wondering. Okay. Foothills. Foothills gets Bayou. Play green, green, green. No. Alright, they are, I believe, priced into taking Burning Wish. So we are looking to draw Echo. Or I mean, that's the best draw. I was gonna say, they could get all risky and take Chromox, but then if we drop Petal or Opal, we just do it. We just peer. Okay. A little bit awkward. I came very close to keeping both cities, but I think the high upside that we set ourselves up for was better on average. All right, we are in trouble. Echo? Any echoes? That's not a bad draw. Wasteland is interesting. Typically, this deck doesn't play Wasteland. However, the last time I played against it, I got Wastelanded. And this time I got Wastelanded. Birgi trigger does pass priority, yes, but if you're talking about like gamble and giving them priority for echo, the Birgi trigger resolves before the gamble. They have 3 cards. It's not a great draw. Double ring does not feel good. Flamer. And that hurts. Alright, I need an Ancient Tomb. Badly. That's pretty good. But I need an Ancient Tomb. If I draw Ancient Tomb, 3, 6... It's a Cradle. Okay. We know cities on the bottom, which is a bummer, but if I can draw Ancient Tomb here, we have a good chance. I can relay for a bunch with Birgi in play. Did not, in fact, draw Ancient Tomb, so we are dead. Bummer. That Thoughtseize got us. Then we drew poorly. It happens. We're 2-1. We'll see you in round 4.
Want early access to articles at theepicstorm.com? Become a member of our Patreon to get articles 7 days early, on top of other sweet benefits, and help us pay our website team. You can sign up at patreon.com/theepicstorm.
Sorry, I had to put some socks on. Okay, typically a sneak and show player. And is pretty good against sneak and show. Unless they have a super fast hand. Oh. Oh. That makes me want to wait. I'm going to wait. There is some greed involved here. But grid into relay is really juicy. Lately I've been playing a lot of jewels, so they might keep a hand that just has a lot of interaction. And a bit slower. Deltas are a little weird. You could be playing something else. LED was perfect. Not mind it if they had some sort of reaction to this. Don't want to see fluster. Although we can pay for a lot of it. Relay for 6 with 2, 4, 6, 9 mana on board. It's another grid. Oh yeah. Grid into lethal plus echo. Seems good to me. It's probably a Bowmaster's. Whatever. You got me. I have 3 cards. Okay. Doesn't really matter unless they have another force. Then it's a problem. No, it's not actually. They're dead. They're dead either way. Don't have a force. Do we have to Grapeshot their board, actually? Four, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't... No way of actually making lethal here. Burning Wish Grapeshot is 4 plus frontside echo. 10. We have 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Imprint is 11. Could also use Gamble for echo out of the yard, and then we still have access to this echo. I like that. 1 less mana from Chrome Mox, but it costs 3 less, so effectively 2 less, and then we still have access to Chrome Mox post echo. So that means I'm going to play my land. Going to go get echo. Going to cast a Burning Wish. Yes. Now, we could have Mind's Desired here. The only issue with that, and it would have been for 7, which is pretty good, but if the cards that you flip are like Echoes or Gambles that are getting you Echo, you're still in a spot, right? We might wind up Mind's Desiring, you know, after this Echo, I'll say that. Well, no, they'll just be dead to Tendrils. Alright, we are going to Grapeshot. Draw all the cards that they want, because we're going to be echoing anyways. One, 2, 3. Sure, I'll kill the orc. 1. Guess there is 1 left. Them. Right cards. Right cards. I'll change the record, sorry. Die. 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 Boink. Die. And spin it. Okay. We can use Chrome Mox to start the red. That's lethal. Rite of Flame, Rite of Flame. I can even cast Monolith. Then I can even cast Wish. And get him with the tendies. Alright. Bug. Probably beans. Whatever. Bug tempo. This is like the boogeyman. This is the deck that's like, oh, you can't play the Epic Gamble anymore because of this. Well, we just did. I don't think I necessarily want these. No. Two, three, four, five, six. If we can draw one more piece of fast mana, we can bait one Burning Wish, then still have enough to cast the other and relay. Oh, did we ever? Even hide this spirit guide. Did I let this go? Can actually just get empty. I mean, if they have fluster, they have fluster, right? They have sweeper. If they get a sweeper, they get a sweeper. I think it's more likely they're going to try to force one of these. Probably the opal. And then they're just going to get got by the spirit guide. Or just not. It's actually a little bit concerning. No stifle. No fluster. Would be powder keg. Could be classic nothing. Oh, is the Epic Gamble still playable? Is the Epic Gamble just unplayable now? Tony, how come you don't play the Epic Gamble? Is that deck just dead now? I feel like I'm just going to get those questions all my life. Because I'm, you know, first and foremost, a deck creator. Build decks. Once I've solved the deck, I will play it. I may even show up at a series tournament with it. But if I have just finished... Oh, that's an entomb. if I had like just finished with some serious creating of a new deck, I'm gonna play that at a tournament, right? Because I'm trying to push it and get the reps in with it and make it as good as possible. But like right now, Jewel is hot. It's really good. We're still testing a few things. There are things to be solved. It is, for me, as interesting as it gets. I do love this deck. It is very powerful. However, my efforts tend to go... Ooh, they're pondering. My efforts tend to go towards deck building. That is my true passion. That's not the worst draw. Especially since they're going to Archon us and we get to put it into the graveyard. Masters kills a goblin token and trades for 2 more. Seems good. Yeah, but 12 goblins, like, it's not good enough, right? If they had gone land Bowmasters, they would have been hit for 9, and they'd be at 9. They would still have to have a follow-up. Like, it is good. It's the reason I don't play empties out of the sideboard anymore. Because, you know, empties for 6, 8, 10 are all that more risky nowadays. But we did, in fact, get them. We're 3-1. I'll see you in the final round.
The best legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory, featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Cobal and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube.
It's actually a known fact that if you ever streamed a game, you've actually quit Magic and it's dead. Well, that's a bit of a jump. But I like where your head's at. Archon doesn't do anything, right? It would have gained them 3, killed one of my dudes, and then I wouldn't... If they had it the turn before, although it would have had to have been Reanimate, so yeah, I don't think they can really do much with Archon. They had Shallow Grave there, but they were at 6, so it would put them to 12, killed one of my things. They'd be alive. Bruising. Okay, so this is Blue Dredge. And... huh. I'm gonna keep... not thrilled. ETB and attack. Well, that's... I mean, I'm talking about Shallow Grave, but in all likelihood, they weren't going to be Shallow Graving. So we can play City Plague Monolith. They kept on 7. They tend to keep Force of Wills against me because they know better. So in all likelihood, One Ring is getting countered next turn, and then I'll have a Vanishing City of Traders. So I'm just going to play this tapped because I can still One Ring next turn, but then my city will be of better use. We didn't get griefed, so that's good. That's a great draw. So Typically, I advocate for Monolith into Grid. Like Monolith, and then we Grid next turn. It's the same amount of mana, right? If you play Grid this turn and then make your Grid Monolith next turn only a +1, that's the same as playing your Monolith this turn, getting the +3, but then having to pay the 2 back down to +1 next turn. But here, I thought it was pretty likely that they're going to counter Grim Monolith, and I think it's more important to have Grim Monolith than it is Defense Grid. But usually, like in the blind, if you're playing in the blind and you're trying to figure out, should I play Grid or should I play Monolith first, it's Monolith, okay? Because if they go and they're not a blue deck, you didn't waste everything on Grid. And if they are a blue deck, you can still play it, and you're at the same mana. Only upside to playing Grim Monolith, for the most part. I'm sure there's some sort of scenario that you could come up with where it's not the case. So let's hope they don't have double. Well, they play Daze too. Now that we've paused here, it's like probably priced into playing it. They've got a troll. I think we're supposed to play it. I'm going to play it in second main. He's the F6, but we're probably getting dazed. Ooh, but yes, on the upside that we don't. We're in business. Gaze on upkeep. Puts Imp and Bridge into the graveyard. One card on top. They're going to draw. It's got to be Force or Daze. Probably Force. Grid? Oh, oh boy. First pitching Narcomoeba, okay. Fills their hand, but shuffles their graveyard. I'm actually going to pass. Because they don't really have anything. They clearly just drew that. And even if they do shred my hand, wow, they drew again. I mean, and they're up against a one ring just popping off here. Okay. You could horn. Yeah. Guess I'm supposed to horn. Daze it. Daze it. Daze. I should have played this LED. They're just off it. They're like, I don't want to play against 14 cards. Why is the title so tragic? It's asking the question. People always ask me. We're answering it. I think the answer is clearly no. Reg. I don't actually need anything. Yep. Mulligan to 5. The shirt? Yeah, it's a green shirt, so that's fine. Okay. Now, we could play our stuff out in Relay. Or you just play Monolith Pass and we have a Pier next turn. Plays into a Daze. Oh. Either way, we gotta do this. Didn't Daze it. I feel like that means they don't have Daze. They only have 2 cards. Could just make a million goblins. I think I'm supposed to one ring though. The O reaction? What the? Oh. Oh. Oh my. Itchy ear, sorry. That Brainstorm is so good in this deck. But we got a one ring going. We have 6 mana on board. If there is +3 mana on the top 3 cards, we're gonna peer. There's 1 mana. There it is. They just have thugs in their hand, right? Returns Stinkweed Imp. Returns Troll. Returns Thug. Roll. Yeah. Yep. A mind break trap. And just a casual draw, 24. Yep. The opponent is dead. Now we play the things and do the thing. I'm gonna get him with the grapes if we can. If they'll allow it. Get out of here. Oh no! Created zombies! What are we gonna do? We're going to exact our revenge with grapes. I'm so torn between exact and just 20 because, you know, because 20. 19 just feels awkward. I don't know about you, but that felt like a really easy 4-1. Like, we just smashed people. Remembering the time I tapped out to play Pier and Black Saga Storm and drew 23 cards and found exactly 0 mana sources. Oof. That's brutal. Oh, no worries. Okay, so that was pretty smooth. What did we lose to? We beat some awkward, like, Hogak blue-black scam. We beat... God, I'm so bad at remembering. Remembering the time you nosed me for, like, 42. Yeah, that was quite the... I think it was even further than that. It was so much. It was just so much. But yeah, if I'm gonna answer the question directly, Cradle Control, yeah, that's what we lost to. If I'm gonna answer the question directly, is the Epic Gamble dead? It is absolutely not dead. Absolutely not. It is difficult to pilot. They have printed new cards that make certain circumstances more challenging. However, for the most part, we're talking about Bowmasters, right? And for the most part, the decks that are playing Bowmasters, like your tempo decks, this deck was crushing. Absolutely crushing. It has made that matchup slightly harder, which is something, right? But I would say at this very moment, there's not a ton of graveyard decks. I think graveyard sideboard is a little bit low because Reanimator continues to put up horrendous results. So I think people are maybe starting to play it a little bit less. Out of the dredge effect, whatever. This is certainly an option if you want to master it, to be able to just take down an event. It is that powerful. LOL, I played a game on Ant once where I peered at 2 life and had 0 legal plays available. After it resolved, had to pass and died in my opponent's baleful Strix. On the Delver side of things, I'm very scared of the epic gamble, even more so on Rug. Yeah, it's tough, for sure. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, of course, I want to thank our sponsors, Moxfield and Card Hoarder, and I do want to mention again that I do have my own YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon. Just go ahead and search TonyScapone, one word, on all of those things. I have various sideboard guides for most of the creations that I have made. I'm currently working on Jewel, so much such that I don't yet have a definitive sideboard guide, but it will be incoming as we start to settle on a list. And of course, go check out my new podcast. We're 4 episodes in, Brews of Paradise. You can find it on Spotify or any of the major podcast platforms. And go check out the rest of the Epic Storm YouTube. Also, of course, Bryant has a sweet website. You can sign up for his Patreon to get a nice and detailed sideboard guide for the Epic Storm. In addition to that, many perks are to be had: early access to videos, discounts on donation decks, all sorts of goodies like that. You can sign up on YouTube as well, which has its own perks, some of them interlapping. But check it out. Links are in the description below. You even have a finalized 75 for Jewel. There are things that we continue to test and tweak, so not necessarily, but we are certainly closing in on it. If you want to see a top 8 with Jewel that I just pulled off this past Sunday on stream, I did lightly edit the footage and put it on my YouTube, so you can check that out. But yeah, hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed spinning that wheel and giving them the grapes and the tendies. I know I did. Keep storming. See y'all next time.